Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes, and today we are recapping Dark, Season 2, Episode 6, An Endless Cycle. And I'm here with the recap queen. She is Lindsay Dunn from One of My Stories. Ahoy there, Lindsay.
Ahoy, Steve! Choppy waters ahead on this episode.
You're right. I love this one. I don't want to get too gushy, but this is the one that it's. I think it was my favorite episode. I know it's my favorite episode of this season. Could be my favorite episode altogether because, like I told you, I was confused, and then this is the one that I saw that kept me going. That I really love because I love the time travel rules in this one, and I love the. I just love the endless cycle of it all, I suppose.
Yeah, I think for many people, maybe myself included, I want to rewatch season 3 before I can fully say that about this being my favorite episode, but I do know that many people, many fans of the show do consider this their favorite episode. And maybe by the end we can talk when we finish, at the end we can maybe talk about why that is.
Okay, yeah, right. I mean, I know that our friend Tash slash Tosh agrees as well. Like they said that this was their favorite episode too. Um, I don't remember. I Season 1 is the one that's strongest in my memory, and I have very vague memories of season 3. So I don't really know where we're going. So I might, hopefully, we'll pick up more favorite episodes along the way because it's always good if something keeps getting better, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and every watch is different, as we've
Sure.
proven.
Let's see. We checked in with I'll say this at the beginning. We checked in with everybody in this episode, with the exception of Elizabeth. Like, I don't know where she was. She was nowhere to be found in this entire episode, and she was the only person that we didn't get to check in with, except y- the episode itself did a recap. Are we going to recap the episode's recap that they did at the very beginning? They showed a scene of Elizabeth dropping her rabbit or her hat or something, but that was just a rehashing of when she ran into Noah. There's no
I mean,
when.
you mean everybody, I guess you mean everybody in this time.
Hmm. Yeah, because we get to look back and see everybody from this date, June 20th, and we don't get to check in with her, so that bummed me out a little bit.
Hmm. Well, so, I mean, there's probably other people that were left out. Like, we don't see Yana either, but
We
um
do at the party. She's at the party.
well, that's true.
I mean, see, we
That's
see
true.
everybody, and we don't see Waller, but somebody's on the phone with Waller. There's no even
Gosh.
mention of Elizabeth. No, nobody even says anything about her. It's like she doesn't exist, and it's like, oh,
Jurgen Obendorf is nowhere to be seen. So don't make
okay,
me
okay,
prove you wrong,
okay.
Steve. But yeah.
The main characters. Elizabeth's one of the mains here. But I don't know. I'm just messing around now. Are you ready to get on with our recap,
Yes,
Lindsay?
I am.
Alrighty, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Okay, an endless cycle. Jonas wakes up. The Nina song is playing. The one about sometime, somewhere,
Yeah, it's a
which
great
is
one.
great callback. It's going to be the song that keeps playing in the show, apparently. He's wearing a blue shirt. His bed linens are blue, and it's a sunny day out, which is
Mhm.
visually so jarring at first, so different. Because we're
Right.
used to the waking up and it being like bleak and dreary, whether we're in the apocalyptic world or the current world.
Hmm.
It's just a little trigger that visually lets us know this day is going to be different.
Right.
There's no neck scar to be seen, and we are looking at Jonas on the day his father killed himself. The day before things started going wrong in Jonas's eyes.
And I wouldn't have noticed the blue thing if you hadn't pointed it out to me. But it falls right in with our color schemes. So,
Hmm.
kudos to you. There's one point for you.
Yeah,
And
I think I went back to like the first episode when he wakes
mhm,
up, and I mean the bed sheets may not be a different color, but he's definitely wearing like a drab t-shirt that's like a gray
mhm.
color. So they just made it look just calm and peaceful that day, and like nothing is going wrong.
And like the Nina song, I like the one of the lines of the song that I wrote down was the future starts somewhere, and
Hmm.
maybe that's today.
Maybe it's today.
Oh, and he's short-haired Eunice. He has shorter hair now, so that even though he has that neck scar and stuff, it's like he's decidedly different. Like not just the way he holds his face because of like the pain he's gone through over this like 6 months, but yeah, his hair's shorter. His dad notices that at one point.
Right, yeah, he notices the haircut. This is definitely a more
Or the hair
clear-eyed
grow.
Jonas. Yeah. It's not the shaggy Jonas. Um, Jonas then runs downstairs, smells the milk, and pours himself a bowl of cereal. The milk is good this time. There's no rotten milk in the fridge.
Everything's going great. Bill's getting paid.
He turns to see Michael Conwald in the flesh, the adult Michael. This is the first time we've seen him.
Mhm.
Besides, we've seen him in pictures, we've seen him in creepy dreams.
He's never smiling though.
Yeah, but he's smiling and teasing his son.
Yeah,
And Jonas plans to go to the lake with his friends. His father reminds him it may storm later,
right.
so bring something for the rain. And Hannah comes downstairs and gives her husband an affectionate squeeze, so they seem like a happy family.
Yeah, at this moment right here, everybody seems pretty happy, and especially Michael. It's decidedly,
Hmm.
happy.
I'm so sorry. The cat just put a little bookmark right now. I need to put him up. Hold on a second.
Okay, never be sorry for a cat interruption. I love cats. And be sure to hold it up so I can see it before you go. And she left. She didn't hold it up for me.
Okay. Hannah reminds them both about the Nielsen's anniversary party, and Michael gets a glazed look on his face. He
Hmm,
decides to make coffee, but his hands are shaking so badly he can barely lift the scoop. Michael is not going to the party.
right.
Jonas leaves to meet his friends and takes the yellow raincoat with him. Michael reacts with terror when he sees the yellow raincoat and drops the coffee container on the floor. He looks as if he's seen a ghost, and perhaps he has.
Yeah.
Michael says he's fine and just had a moment of deja vu. Hannah steps towards Michael again and puts a hand on his back. She again tries to hug him from behind and asks if he will reconsider going to the party. And he just says he needs to finish his picture.
He could finish that picture anytime. We know why he's not going to the party, and she's grappling him. Like the way she's grabbing him from behind is almost scary. It's weird. Did you think it was weird the way they looked when she was doing that?
No,
Okay.
no, I did not. I thought it was nice to see that it kind of reminded me of this thing about Hannah. She has these insecurities she's expressed. Men will always leave me. And so it's you think about their marriage and how there was that thing we discussed about her going back when she sees him and he wasn't maybe present in their relationship. And I feel Hannah's loneliness here. They're in this marriage, but she's always the one that's having to like try to be affectionate with him and try to get him to
Hmm.
return the affection. And it's not for him, it's not anything against her, but he's always kind of in his shell a little bit. And I just feel
Sure.
like she's always the one that's trying to, even though her passion is for Ulrich, her role is always going to be to like feel rejected. So she's reaching out to him. She's trying to be a wife to him, but he's just in his head about something.
I guess that's what it is. It shows in his body language that he's really resistant to like her, and that's why it seems like she's grappling because it seems like he doesn't want that.
Yeah. Mhm. Um yeah, the whole him seeing the raincoat image was pretty striking,
Yeah,
that it's like we know he loves his son, but he's just this raincoat terrifies him. It's like a whole Pennywise situation here. All of a
right.
sudden, he's thinking about creepy clowns.
Well, he tells us later he has like a distinct memory
Hmm.
about Jonas specifically in that specific raincoat. So maybe he just hadn't put that together. And, it's just supposed to show us, the audience, too, that, that he's reacting to it. Because I think Hannah has sort of like one of those premonition reactions later on, too, that
Hmm.
she just realizes something that has been in front of her a long time, and shows she reacts to it for us. That's what Michael's doing. Thanks, Michael.
Right. But at the time, we don't know he has this memory. So we're just like, oh, he doesn't, for how rainy it is. It's like, did the rain start with Michael's suicide? It's like, yeah, it's you would think that Jonas never wears this raincoat, because for him it just gets his attention right away.
Well, I
So,
mean, it's the endless cycle, just like the name of this
mhm.
episode. And we're going to see some Marta stuff here that's like an endless cycle, too, that we alluded to last episode, and it kind of
Yeah.
reared its head in this one. So we're getting there.
Yeah. So Michael's hesitation about the party attending is
Oh,
understandable
okay.
because, does he remember that they are his parents? This gets to a point you asked last week about maybe how did Katerina used to think about Michael, and did how much time he spent, and it was another instance where I'm awkwardly trying to like dodge the topic.
Okay.
but but yeah, like we can talk about it here now. Like, of course he doesn't want to attend the party because he has these memories of these vague or buried memories of them being his
Hmm.
parents. That would feel really weird for him to be at a party where he's like now the same age as the people that raised him.
Right. And we talk so much about Inez giving him those drugs too. So we don't know how much of like his youth was raised in a haze where he kind of can't
Hmm.
decipher like memory from dream, from reality, from anything.
Yeah, Inez says the man dreamed was he a man who dreamed he was a butterfly, or was he a butterfly that dreamed he was a man?
Oh,
So did does Michael, did he dream they were his parents, or was that real, and he's living in these dual realities and not sure which one is real. So yeah, you
oh,
have to
good
wonder if
callback.
he thinks he dreamed it. Yeah.
Okay.
So then Jonas, Magnus, Marta, and Bartosz ride bikes towards the lake. And Marta's riding in front of Jonas. She keeps turning around to smile at him. He smiles back. He looks happy and relaxed. It's a
Yeah.
nice image.
Yeah, nothing's gone wrong in his life so far. Like everything's just chill. And
Hmm.
he's got these three friends, and one of them's a cool chick. And that's pretty much his biggest worries right now.
Yeah, he's very quiet. He's kind of like the quiet, awkward dude, but it's
Yeah.
working for Marta, whatever it is he's doing.
And he seems, like you said, he seems happy. And his exchanges with his dad show that he's comfortable around, his friends and his family at this point.
Hmm. So then the church bells ring, and we see the sick Mundus church. The door opens, and this time Noah doesn't come out. This time it's Jonas, the yellow rain jacket Jonas, the next car Jonas, the one that we know. So this is the one that
Yep.
just walked through the God particle.
And this is the Jonas that has seen some stuff, and he's the long-haired one. And it was interesting that he's not sick this time. And he's not, remember last time he slept for 24 hours and he was throwing up, and it seemed like it was the God particle that did that to him, but
Hmm.
maybe
But
not. Maybe it was just
remember, this is the God particle that Adam and the experienced people have
oh.
created. So it might be a gentler ride.
They were able to smooth out the bumps. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then across town, Ulrich and Katerina wake up. Katerina turns down Ulrich's offer for sex because of her cycle and also other reasons. Just she's stressed about the party, and basically she's
Yeah.
just too busy to think about such things.
Yeah, it's
Uh
bad timing. And
yeah. Ulrich doesn't really care if she hasn't shaved her legs in forever.
yeah.
So he's into it. He's ready to have some action in the morning, but the door to the bedroom opens and Ulrich makes a snappy remark about the kids should knock first. Mikkel is sick though, and he has these red spots all over.
Poor little guy. He looks so forlorn. Even if Katarina was game this morning, I mean, it wasn't going to happen anyway, Ulrich. So don't blame Katarina right now, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And one of the speculations I had is that Michael and Mikkel are both, they're existing in this time period. And
Right.
so, they say like twins can feel each other. And I
Hmm.
wondered if Michael, like, is the sickness connected to Michael? Like, does Mikkel feel Michael's pain and sadness across town, and it's festered in him as rubella, which is what Katerina says he has.
I know it's really interesting to think about. I would not have made that connection at all, if you hadn't brought that up. And so I think that's really interesting. It could be. I'm kind of a mind that little Mickle here, again, like Jonas, he hasn't experienced anything yet. He's young, innocent Mickle here.
Mhm.
Um, I think not. I think from his end, there's nothing. And from Michael's end, he probably feels it. I don't know. I think it's an interesting point. It's an interesting theory. I'm not sure I believe it, but I think it's really neat to think about that they could affect each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'm convinced about it either. It does strike me that they made a point this whole episode that
Hmm.
Mikkel, we when we saw Mikkel in season 1, he's like all happy doing his magic tricks. And here he seems kind of bummed in general. So it's like it's not the Mickle that we knew was there before. So it was almost like the shadow that has crossed his door.
Wow. Okay.
But she Katerina, though, a little harshly, I felt. She kind of chides him for getting sick on today of all days. I was like, it's not something you should say to your kid.
No, it's not, but it's totally within her character, though. I thought it was great. It made me laugh, and I thought that it showed that, sh- she, of course, is going to stop whatever she's doing, no matter what, and take him to the doctor. That's what she does. But she's going to show her displeasure, and she's going to grunt about it, and she's going to make, you know, I don't know. I thought it was um, good natured show of aggression there. I liked it.
Fair enough.
Or maybe I'm just smitten by
um,
Katarina by now. I don't know. Like the last few episodes, she's really caught my eye.
I mean, we know she has the grumpy girl within her, the bully, but
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that aspect. Oh, man. Okay. You don't think she smacks the kids around, do you? Oh.
well, I mean, no, I mean, but I think she has that. She could. It's like this thing that she's got inside of her that she tries to hold at bay.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
But I think she does a good job here, though, because it seems like she's, in a loving way.
loving way says, "You creep! How could you do this to me?" So then Alexander reads the paper and looks at a story about an unsolved murder in Marburg that happened 33 years ago. The search for two fugitives is still on. Regina interrupts his reading and asks if he will come to the hotel today for lunch. And she can tell he's distracted and asks if all is well.
This is interesting the way they're bringing this up now, and it's actually earlier in the time frame, but this is now coming up about
Mm-hmm.
the possible tie-in with his mysterious entrance into town, and now these two fugitives are talking about. I just think that's a really neat way they did that.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah, I
happened
mean,
previously, but now it's happening later for us.
it does make you wonder why. I mean, it's just it's just a storytelling device. They had to give Alexander something to do here, but it does kind of be like, all right, were there new clues? Like, why was there a story in the paper about this? I guess they just want to. In some ways, they're leaving credence to the fact that Clausen would be, his interest in Alexander would be raised, this at this time. So it's
Right.
a year before, and I don't
Well, if
know.
it's a storytelling device, they wouldn't just give Alexander something to do. They should have did that to Elizabeth too. They should have gave Elizabeth something to do.
Oh my.
Anyway, I'm
All right. Well, okay. At the Doppler house, Charlotte sits at home with her usual deadpan facial expression. Peter comes in and asks where the kids are. Charlotte says nothing. Peter
see?
tries. What?
See? She doesn't say anything. She doesn't tell us where Elizabeth is.
She had to send the kids away so she could grumble at Peter.
Right.
That's where she is. Peter tries to argue with her, but Charlotte still says nothing, and he accuses her of being dead inside.
Mm.
Charlotte tells him that she is going to the party alone.
Peter went a little hard on that one, I think. Um, but yeah, she was doing nothing. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's well within her reason to go to the party by herself. Um, I don't know how they make those kind of decisions, like when you're a couple that's estranged like that, like who's going to be the one to represent. Um, but she made the decision that she's going to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
I, she doesn't really, well, we'll get to the party when we get to it, but it's not like she gets there and starts socializing and partying right away.
Yeah, Peter doesn't really strike me as like much of a party person, so I think he was probably okay with this decision, but I
Oh
felt
yeah, he
like
was.
yeah. I felt like this was a good bit of storytelling or world building as well, because by the time we see Peter, he's basically given up.
Sure. Yes.
And here he's hasn't given up yet because he's saying mean things. So they're kind of showing a realistic, transition to the stages of grief. Like here he's at the point where he's trying to argue. At least by the time we see him, he's well, I mean, we do know that he made a promise to her at some point too, that he wouldn't go back to be with Bernadette. So there's. But I thought it was a good. I mean, I don't like seeing them like this, but at the same time, I was like, they're realistically showing the stages of a failing marriage, I thought.
Yeah. And I tease Charlotte for not saying anything, but that's typical. Like we were just saying the last episode, that might be something you or I might do. Like we're so upset we don't even know how to begin or or how to frame it. You know, that's kind of how Charlotte was, I think, there.
Yeah. So over at the lake, Bartosz talks about a lady who drowned in the lake, that the lady will drag you down when she's hungry. Marta has had enough of this nonsense and gets out of the water to sit with Jonas. And you
Right.
kind of start to see why she's attracted to Jonas, because he seems more
Sure.
mature than those other boys, or at least if he is immature, he doesn't say much, so you can't really tell how immature he is.
He seems like he's got it more together, and you could talk to this guy, you could talk to Jonas, whereas like maybe like those other guys, they'll talk at you and you'll be the butt of their joke or something like that. A bunch of splashy jerks. I I've never liked dudes that get all splashy and pull people underwater and dunk them, and I don't know. I got a big aversion to that.
Yeah, this seems to be the standard way that a lot of guys act at swimming pools though and lakes is like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
like a girl, they're gonna like, take her underwear and play keep away with it, or, just push her down the water and think that's a good time.
Well, you know what? I was definitely more of a Jonas. I would always just sit on my towel and like I never really got in the water too much. But there was never beautiful girls coming up and talk to me there like Martha. So I always sat alone.
They make chit chat about the party that night, and the conversation is very low key, flirty, and intimate. She admits that she wonders if her parents are happy together and asks about his parents. Jonas isn't sure if they're happy or not. He's kind of doing that thing where you play in the sand with your hands distractedly, and he
Hmm.
finds this object that looks like a coin, and Marta tells him it's the Saint Christopher pendant, the patron saint of travelers.
And she apologizes for knowing that for some reason. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think she's trying. I was guessing that perhaps, maybe their family. I mean, we haven't really. Well, we do know that Ulrich is an atheist and trained his kids that,
Hmm.
but it makes you kind of feel like it's one of those. This is one of those
Oh,
families where like, oh, we go to church and we know who all the saints are, but then it doesn't make sense with what we know about Ulrich
maybe
unless,
that's why she apologized. Like, I know I'm supposed to be an atheist like my family, but I'm kind of interested in this
or
mystical
maybe
stuff.
Ulrich's not, but Katerina is into it.
Sure, yeah. We
Yeah,
don't know at this point, but she
right.
knows her saints. She can recognize them by sight. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's kind of neat that it's the patron saint of travelers when
Of
we have
course.
the travelers, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty spot on thing there.
And maybe
And
that's how they got their name.
yeah, and I mean, uh Jonas, the Jonas we know is a traveler.
Right. Yeah, he's done it like
Yeah.
twice or thrice now. So, yeah, he's an old hand at this. He knows what he's doing.
So Marta's coin, this coin will protect him. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, so this is the first time we see this coin, and so he
Well, we
has
saw
it.
it last episode.
Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. But this is the first time I think that like linearly that it's showing its head.
Hmm.
I don't think we saw it like in episode 1 or anything like that, did we?
No, we didn't see this coin until season 2.
Okay.
We first saw it when Jonas has it in the apocalypse and puts it over Marta's picture, and then he might take it to her tomb. Um, then we saw it last episode where older, stranger Jonas put it on her pillow, and now we
Mhm.
see Jonas find it and gives it to basically gives it, Marta has it now. So
everything is important. That's why I'm asking. Even the milk is important. So
The
everything
milk
is
was good
important.
today. The milk was good.
Yay.
All right, so then next car Jonas walks. I feel it was like stranger Jonas, next car Jonas. Okay,
I like it.
the OG Jonas, next car Jonas walks towards the power plant. He has his own plans today. Ulrich, Katerina, and Mikkel honk their horn as they drive by. I guess the whole family's gonna take Mikkel to the doctor. They ask why he's not at the lake with the others. He zips up his rain jacket to keep his neck scar from showing, and in the back seat, Mikkel reaches out his hand for an ultimate fist bump.
I know he and Jonas they've been boys since then. That's so cute.
I know. Jonas just has no idea what to do though, because he's like, that. So like Michael had a shock moment with the yellow raincoat, and now
Hmm.
Jonas is like, oh my gosh, ultimate fist bump. Okay. Katerina mentions that he shouldn't touch Mikkel because he has the plague.
No
Uh,
fist bump.
they offer to give him a ride, but Jonas declines, and they all tease him about Marta's feelings for him before driving off.
Kind of. Ulrich is kind of creepy about it. Like
Creepy?
me and Heather both thought that Ulrich was being really weird to Jonas here, especially considering that Martha's his daughter. And like, I don't know. I just thought he was being very strange about it. Mikkel was being appropriate, like just kind of like, oh, she's got a crush on you. That's appropriate. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Ulrich, I don't know. He was
What did
being,
he
I thought
do?
just the way he was like, hey there, Romeo. We know you're not we know who's looking forward to seeing you when it's not Magnus. Like he makes like three allusions to him being a dream. Yeah, he's like buy a dream boat or something like that when he leaves. Like I don't
I
know.
think it's
I
just
I
I
thought he
think
was
it's
being
just to
creepy.
show there's like warmth between the family, and everybody
Yeah,
knows these two like each other even though they haven't admitted it yet to each other.
even Mickle knows. Yeah.
So at the lake, Magnus pees behind a tree. It's a great paragraph
Woo.
opener.
Yep.
He gets worried when he sees a body floating face down in the water. He runs toward the body, and it's Franziska. I guess maybe he was thinking about the woman at the bottom of the lake.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
it was alarming. I agree. It didn't look good. It looked like a dead body floating by.
yeah.
So he is correct.
And Francisca was just floating topless in the water. Now I know this is like European, so they're much less,
Yeah.
embarrassed about this kind of stuff. So anyway, she's just floating topless in the water though. Magnus is very shaken by the encounter, but Francisca smiles, and
Hmm.
maybe this is the birth of their attraction to each other as well.
Yeah, she was totally cool about the whole encounter. And when I say cool, I don't mean like, hey, cool chick. I mean like kind of like a chill, like a how would you describe that? Like I don't know, she smiled at the end, and if she didn't smile at the end, I would think that she was completely numb the whole time because she didn't give Magnus like any flirting, any smile. She was very nonchalant, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in a
Yeah,
very cool temperature kind of way.
she was chill. She was just like, you're acting, you thought I was dead, okay, and started running towards me this way, and I'm like naked in front of you. Like, didn't really seem to shake her much.
It shook him though. He kept cool about the whole thing, but
Yeah.
obviously it started a crush here.
He's like, gotta go. Just random. Um, yeah, this isn't. It's like he's another person. Doesn't seem shaken by much, so that it says a lot that he was shaken by Francisca.
Oh, you're right about that cuz like this whole episode he's like pretty boisterous. He's like the boisterous kid brother here,
Yeah.
except for now. Yep.
So Marta is reading the play Ariadne, practicing for her performance. She catches Jonas watching her, and she asks if he ever wishes he knew what happened next. if not way in the future, at least in the exact next 5 minutes. She
Interesting.
sometimes gets the feeling that something will happen. Magnus interrupts an almost kiss by running between them.
This is what I'm talking about, the dork.
The two separate and the tension is broken. Jonas startles because he remembers he's supposed to help his grandmother learn how to use a tablet.
Don't accept any hot chocolate while you're there, Jonas.
We hope you've never had the hot chocolate because you won't be waking up for a while.
Yeah, Magnus has grown up a lot since this this day because he's totally dorking it up and ruining things for his sister. I mean, things worked out the way they worked out, so it's all good, Magnus. But still, that's
Hmm.
a pretty crappy move. And I think it's neat that she's talking like these absolute truths about time and like what's possible with time if you know how to manipulate it. And she's just kind of being fanciful and just talking off the cuff here, but it's neat like how much it ties in exactly with what's happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, it shows they sort of, again, why they like each other because
Hmm.
Jonas is kind of the deep thinker, or at least, like I said, what is it they say? There's this saying that's like, better to say nothing than to say something and prove you are a fool or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, Jonas isn't horsing around. He's just contemplating life on the beach. And Marta's contemplating something too. Maybe
Hmm.
it's like asking these philosophical questions about if he ever wants to know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation here they're having.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jonas, the innocent, the innocent Jonas has left to go help Grandma. He should also learn. He should also help Claudia next time she needs help at the library. Yes, that's what she needed.
Maybe he doesn't know she needs help.
Yeah.
She's got to ask for help.
So, against all sound time travel rules, next Jonas steps out of the shadows to approach Marta because he's been watching them in the bushes. I didn't say that before. He's been sort of watching them. So
Yeah.
he approaches Marta after idealistic Jonas leaves. He says he thought he had more time. She remarks that he seems different somehow. And he tells Marta, I think we're a perfect match. Never believe anything else. So it's the line that we've heard over and over again.
Hmm.
This Jonas, the next Jonas, the last time he saw Marta, he told her, we're not a match. We're a bad match. And so he's trying to make
Okay.
this, he's trying to make that up to her by reassuring her that, no, I lied. We are a match. Only he's now saying it earlier than that other time when you can't make up for something that you did later. But Jonas is trying. And so it's one of those bootstrap paradoxes here. This is a chicken or
Hmm.
egg situation.
Hmm.
How do we track the genesis of this phrase? Who was the first person to actually say it? If we're to believe the Jonas here says it in 2019, but then we know that this Jonas heard it in his dream. And who did,
Hmm.
where did that come from though?
I get, it seems like this Jonas that's running around with the neck scar is the one that's inadvertently actually making things happen. So I'm of belief that this is the first time that it's said, but it's only because he was able to go back in time to say it. But
Mhm.
that's an asterisk. This is the first time I believe it's said.
Mhm.
I also think it's neat how like when he came in as neck scar Jonas, he came back after like a couple of seconds or whatever. And the thing he says was like he thought he had more time. What he said actually kind of made sense in context of like their conversation they were having before. So it like seemed kind of off the wall, but at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, he's just, doing more of that deep talk like we were doing before. So it almost kind of plays in.
Mhm. Well, yeah, but he did he was just like, "I gotta go help my grandma," and then he comes back, "I thought I had more time," like, it it's still a little bit of an odd, beginning, but, um
It's odd in a cool way. Like Marta was probably like, kind of like, oh, that's interesting. I like this.
So this Jonas and Marta kiss. So the it's not the, like, innocent Jonas that kisses her, um it's like the veteran the veteran Jonas.
Right.
Mhm. And this
And
make this is the beginning of in the first episode of the show, we know that, Marta alludes when they meet, they're like, "Can we talk about" she's trying to say, like, "Can we talk about what happened between us?" And he's
that's
just
right.
like, "What? I'm fine, no." Like, that that Jonas didn't really
Mm.
know what
Mm-hmm.
happened. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he knew about their conversation at the lake, but he didn't know about the kissing because that isn't this Jonas. That isn't that
That's not
Jonas.
this Jonas, but that Jonas has his first kiss with her later though, and they actually do more than kiss, and that's the
That's
idealistic
true. That's
Jonas.
true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You're right. But
But this guy is the one who's getting it jump started. He's the
yeah,
impetus.
it's because of this Jonas
Mhm.
that Marta is able to take a step because it's like, sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, I don't want to say I like him if I don't know if he likes me." Because of this Jonas,
Right.
Marta's like, "I'm into this now, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna take the next step. This person took a first step with me, so I'm now brave enough to take my next
Mhm.
step."
That's right. All green lights,
Yeah.
yes.
So now we have a scene, a very poignant scene where Ulrich and Katerina stop by Hannah's to pick up some glasses for the party. Michael looks out the window as they pull up. Hannah wishes them a happy anniversary, them meaning Ulrich and Katerina.
Mhm.
Mikkel is with them since he's sick, and he goes inside the house to use the bathroom. Michael sees him get out of the car and begins to have a panic attack.
Yes.
And he comes inside the house and like goes that Mikkel goes into the house and he's kind of walking around like I've been here before, or he's just having this weird reaction to the house all of a sudden and goes into the
Yeah.
bathroom. Yeah. Did you want to say something? Did you want to comment before I move forward?
Yeah, yeah, I had a couple things to comment
Yeah.
about. First off, the way he, like, looks around the house as if he's been there before,
Mhm.
which I guess is, like, the falls in with our endless cycle theme. Like I was saying before, this is young, innocent Mikkel who doesn't know anything at this point. However, this is also the same house that he grew up in. So it's, or that he's going to grow up in soon.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's
one eventually.
right. So that I don't know. That I kind of took as like looking around as if like, where's the bathroom? I'm sick. I'm slow. But upon further introspection, it's like it's neat where he's at. And the other thing was just something an offhand remark about how Ulrich says that Mikkel can just go pee on a tree, and the women are a little smarter, and they're like, "Go in the house and use the bathroom, Mikkel. It's fine." But that Nielsen family likes to pee outside, apparently.
Well, you mentioned Hannah before, and I guess this is before I move forward, I'll also say this is where Hannah seems to have a strange reaction,
To
where
Mikkel,
she looks at
yes.
Mikkel and all of a
Mhm.
sudden kind of tilts her head and is like, like she's seeing him for the first time almost.
I think so. Like, what did I write down? That um she she's finally recognizing him because it's not like she spends a lot of time with this kid. You know, they're not like I don't think maybe they do spend time. I'm just thinking like perhaps like she hasn't seen Mickle at this stage of his life where he's chosen to wear his hair like this and he's gotten this height and now he looks like the kid that she met, when she was in high school. Maybe the last time she saw Mickle, he had short hair and there was no recognition there. And now he's starting to finally become,
But
more
I don't think she
recognizable to her.
really like, I don't really think she really recognized him, so like, "Oh, it's the kid," like, "It's the kid
No,
that I married," but
but it sparked a trigger though.
yeah, like you said before with, Egon and Ulrich, it's out of context, so he's not fully putting the pieces together, but it's a deja vu moment, right? Where he's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
"This seems familiar somehow." So yeah, it's all really creepy and uncomfortable. You're like, something's not quite right, and of course, we know what that something is, and but they're not going to put the pieces together.
I know you can tell that Hannah and Ulrich are vibing. They're giving each other eyes a little bit here. And I was almost thinking like, oh, have they already like hooked up at this point? But I think at this point they're just kind of like, scoping each other out.
I mean, I think they're just like super friendly. He's just always thought of her as his kid sister. Her. So I don't think he's necessarily like, oh, I really like this. I mean, like
It seemed like
her
there was a
that way.
moment. It
But
seemed
he
like there was a
was,
moment.
yeah, I mean, we know that Katerina turned him down for sex, and like, maybe that happens a lot because they're busy with the kids,
Sure,
and
sure.
Hannah's always been attracted to him, so they have a good rapport. So,
Okay,
but
all
yeah.
right.
But yeah, Michael comes downstairs and seems to hesitate outside the bathroom. He seems to be trying to decide something,
Hmm.
and he puts his ear against the door as if trying to listen.
Weird. So weird.
Michael comes out and hides behind the door. And oh, sorry. As Michael comes out, Michael is then hiding behind the door.
Right.
And Mikkel's looking around like he's actually looking for someone, and he notices Michael, and the two of them react to each other in a very odd way. They both kind of like back up from each other, and yeah.
Maybe at Mickle it's just face value. He sees this strange man. But I think Michael, um, when he saw them pull up and he saw Mickle get out and come in and he starts having a panic attack, I think he starts remembering.
Mhm.
And that's why he goes downstairs. He's like drawn to go downstairs for some reason unknown to him. The reason is he has to see himself so he can have that memory.
Mhm. Yeah.
It seems like he doesn't even want to do that. He's like scared to do it, but
Mhm.
he's being pushed to do it anyway by time, by God, by time.
Mhm. So the rest of the lake crew decide to go home. After Magnus rides off, Bartosz apologizes to Marta that he can't come to the party, and he tells her that her hair looks good. And I put, Bartosz has got no game here. He's trying. This is like the start of hang dog Bartosz, right?
I mean, he won my heart. I mean, that kind of flirting really wins for me. Awkward, like stumbly flirting is great. I love it. I'm a sucker for it.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah,
Jonas. Oh, go ahead.
no, yeah, I guess this is important because he's trying to hit on her and she's got her head up in Jonas right now. So she's not even like registering it. She's just kind of like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, won't see you there. And, I think she likes Bartosz just on a surface level here.
Bartosz has just got like he doesn't exactly have a concept of what we know, like, he was horsing around and like you said, those strategies that don't work, pushing women down under the water. So he really likes Marta, but just the way that, like, yes, he's definitely Marta is into Jonas, so she's just not seeing him as anything other than a friend.
Yep, maybe Magnus's friend, perhaps.
Yeah. Then now we're at the Nielsen's party. Hannah is carrying a pan of tiramisu. I
Love it.
mean, she's always bringing dishes over to the Nielsen
Yeah,
house, right?
that's right. That's right. This time it's
and
more well received.
yeah. It seems like everyone in town is there, just like you said, Steve, including
Hmm.
people we have never met before. The
They're all high
town's
school friends, I guess.
Yeah. Hannah is wearing a red dress. Marta comes downstairs wearing a white dress. And I
Hmm.
think this might be the only time we have seen her in white besides during the play, or anybody really in white. It's just not a color that is
Yeah.
really used on the show. And Jonas is also wearing a white shirt.
Hmm. Interesting to point out. You're exactly right. It's not a color we see ever on anyone.
Hmm. So yeah, it's interesting that yeah, I'll have more comments about the white but later, but it is interesting that I'm thinking about the play and how the play is such an analogy for the
Oh,
show.
uh huh.
um she ends up at one point she ends up like removing her one costume, and underneath is the white, so this is like, I don't know, the pure Marta. um I don't know. So
I'm a big fan of tiramisu. I gotta say, first off, it's a great dessert.
mhm.
One of my favorites if it's around. It's not around very often. We're listening to Nina again. So the second Nina song in this episode. And then Belinda Carlisle. I mean, you talk about like first loves or like I don't know, juvenile, like pre-adolescent or pre-puberty crushes. That's what I had on Belinda Carlisle and the Go-Go's. So I have a big soft spot. They played Heaven is a Place on Earth here, and it got Katerina all excited. She wants to dance and party. She's like having a ball. She's like forcing everyone to have a ball here. But she's genuinely like, stoked.
She was so well. I mean, this is where I resonate with Katarina, because when I'm doing this too, like, she was all stressed about this party and getting everything ready, and now it's here, and she's gets just gonna drink and dance and like
Yeah.
enjoy the moment with her friends.
Yep, I like it a lot.
So Katarina greets Hannah warmly, and she's ready to dance and let her hair down to Belinda
Mhm.
Carlisle specifically. Yana and Trant are talking to Magnus, expressing their pride, and we wonder what they're proud of since Magnus never goes to class. Um,
Yeah, what would they be proud of, I guess here? I didn't even think to ponder that. I'll ponder while you talk.
I think they love their grandson, and
We
I
all love
think
Magnus.
they're talking about they're going to get him a car. I think is what the topic is basically. But I thought it was
Oh,
hilarious that they were just like,
maybe he's graduating or something. Maybe he's a year older than her and he's graduating or something. Or maybe he's got his license.
he's definitely not
I don't know.
graduating.
Okay. All right.
um
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Also notice that Magnus is wearing the shirt that Franziska wore at the beginning of this season too. Do you remember when they're sitting by the lake and she gets the text and goes off to see that, collect the money? She's wearing this
Hmm.
button down shirt, and I was like, oh, that's Magnus's shirt. And it just strikes me that a lot of times we see Franziska wearing Magnus's clothes. Once they start being a couple, she steals his red hoodie. She takes this shirt. I think
Hmm.
there's other clothes too, but she's definitely wearing his clothes all the time.
Yeah, that's cute. I like it.
Um, Katerina also greets Charlotte and asks her to dance. Charlotte declines, of course. It would be very odd if we saw Charlotte dancing, I think.
I can't picture it. I can't.
Hannah notices that Peter isn't with her, and Charlotte also remarks that Michael's absent. Et tu, Brute?
I mean, more proof that they should be hanging out, you know? They definitely should be hanging.
Yeah. Ulrich opens a bottle of champagne, and both he and Katerina drink straight from the bottle.
This is Germany.
Ulrich and Hannah share a moment. Okay, now they're starting to now I will say they are starting to vibe here. But Ulrich is dancing with Katerina, but he looks at Hannah. We catch Hannah glowering at the two of them.
Mhm.
Hannah's kind of giving herself away here.
Oh, yeah. There the 1,000-yard stare, I think is what you call that. Visible to anybody who wants to pay attention.
So then next guard Jonas, walks towards his house. The
Mm.
stormy weather there's gusts of wind, and as he walks toward the house and walks inside, he has tears in his eyes at the sight of his house where he hasn't been since he burned the letter.
Okay.
So this is a war torn Jonas who has seen some shit. Is what I wrote here, and this
Yeah,
is his home.
yeah, he was I didn't even think about that fact that he was just living in that burn up house for 6 months at least. It's been about 6 months, right? In Jonas time.
That he was like when he was in this house, but it was in the post
Mhm.
apocalypse world. His dad comes out to greet him, surprised that anyone has shown up. He expected everybody to be at the party, of course. Jonas's face gives away a world of emotion. He comes forward to embrace his dad. Michael is surprised at this greeting, but hugs him back. And Jonas tells his dad that he knows everything. Jonas goes to give him an ultimate fist bump and throws Michael into a tailspin. He calls him by his name, Mikkel Nielsen, a name that Michael hasn't heard in 33 years. And heartbreakingly, he asks his dad for forgiveness.
Yeah, I don't even know how to begin talking about this, Lindsay. This is some great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way Michael is reacting to Jonas here. Like he has no idea what's up at this point, but he's being so supportive and wonderful to Jonas, and I think that's a great way for them to start this very interesting interaction.
Remember when we were talking about the reveal, when you reveal yourself to somebody and you're trying to convince them that you are who you say you are, and people tend they tend to use words a lot. They'll be like, remember that time, like, I mean, Stranger did this too. Remember that time when I dropped that glass on the floor and
Right.
I have the scar on my foot to prove it, and they always to I feel like this is like so much more effective with Jonas just reaching out, ultimate fist bump. I mean,
Yeah. Yes.
was everybody crying at this point? I mean, it's like
Yeah. I was gonna
it's
say, like, if you didn't start crying at the first hug, then the second hug, if you didn't start crying then start looking at yourself a little bit more. Because
mhm,
yeah, this was a very a very emotional scene. Maybe more so for like Heather, who like recently lost her father.
mhm,
Maybe that touched her more so than it did me. Um, yeah, it's a great scene.
yeah. And him just the simplicity of saying, "I know everything. I know that you're
Hmm.
Mikkel Nielsen," and just calling him by his name and having Michael just be like, "I can't," he was speechless too. He just doesn't know what to say to Jonas at that moment. Like,
Right.
but you can see it on his face. So good. So, across town at the Nielsen's party, Ulrich is regaling everyone with a slideshow of pictures of Katerina when she was younger, and Hannah's in some of the pictures too.
Mhm.
Mikkel comes downstairs looking for some comfort from his mother, and unfortunately, the music playing is Rick Astley.
Why did you say unfortunately? It's a banger, come on.
I just don't want to be rickrolled on, on one of my favorite shows, Steve.
And some people enjoy being rickrolled. It's like a badge of honor. It's a sense of joy.
So Katerina does agree to carry Mikkel back to bed and stay for a bit until he falls asleep.
Again, in that joking around, annoyed way that Katerina does.
You keep telling yourself that, Steve.
Well, I mean, she's there. It's this is there's a character in Wheel of Time named Matt who always acts grumpy and always says, "I'm not gonna do nothing," and "I hate you guys. I ain't doing crap." But then he's always the first guy who is helping everybody, and he's always, his actions belie his words. So, she's annoyed, but there she is laying with her boy.
So she did, but yes, I just feel like I'm thinking about my parents, okay? And we didn't have that many parties, but if I was sick, there wouldn't have been a party. The party would have been canceled.
Okay. Sure. All right.
Because your child is sick and a good I'm sorry, but a good parent, you don't have a huge party when your kid is not feeling well. So I just that's what I look. Now, of course, we can't cancel this party because this is dark and we need this party to take place on this day so we can have this amazing episode.
I mean, yeah,
But
I mean, that's where our difference is. I grew up in a house where like if a party's being planned and you got caterers and everybody's already coming, then you can't cancel that party because everybody's expected. So you don't want to
mm,
disappoint the neighbors. So, we just had a different
yeah.
type of
Well,
family vibe.
when you're sick, that means you get to sit on the couch and watch TV, and there's was one TV in the house. So if we don't it's not the situation you have now where every room has a TV, including the bathroom, like
That's true. That's true.
you get to sit on the couch and have people wait on you and bring you popsicles and tender loving care. That is what being sick meant at my house when I was this age.
Okay. Did you play sick a lot? I would have played sick all the time if I were you then.
No, no, no. I didn't. I didn't. I did a few times when I was in middle school because I after I saw ET, it was like, "Oh, you put the thermometer under the lamp. Okay."
Movies and
Um
TV teaching us so much.
yeah. All right. So back at the Conwald house, Jonas asks his father not to kill himself. He believes that he's here to stop that from happening. Then he realizes his father has no plans to do such a thing.
Yeah, we're shocked by that too. Yes.
Yeah, we are all shocked because that's always what you want to know is why did you kill yourself? And it's like Michael's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I mean, it seems like perfect timing too, because he's just gone through a whole bunch of stuff. He's like the Nielsen's dealing with them. He just saw his former self.
Mhm.
Everybody's out of the house for the evening. So it seems like he has been planning to kill himself, but
Yeah.
he shows us here. He's like, "What? No, that's not my plans tonight. I was going to
Yeah.
paint."
Yeah, I kind of feel like in a way the show rickrolled us
Yeah.
because even earlier he said, "I must finish my picture." So you're kind of
Hmm.
thinking he's got to finish this picture before he kills himself, right? So
Right.
they were
Exactly.
doing things to make you think to lead you to that conclusion and here it's like, "No. Jonas wants to know if he's written his letter." And he actually takes the letter out from his pocket Michael asks, Jonas begs him not to do it. So, like, if you, yeah, it's kind of like if you don't want your dad to kill yourself, why would you give him a suicide letter? Oh, that's why I killed myself. There you go. But yeah, it's like Jonas gives him the letter here.
Yeah, it's like a weird like loop of causation is what's going
Hmm.
on. Like I guess we talk about it more later, right? How about how that is, or can I
Hmm.
talk about it now? I'm going to talk about it now, right? I
Let's
mean,
talk about it a
how
bit later. We're getting a little bit seen a little bit later.
okay, yeah, sure.
Um,
Oh, for now. Oh,
Go ahead.
if we were to talk about that, the causation loop, then I would recommend a good book that also deals with that. And I'll do that now, so I won't do it later. It's a book called Rant by Chuck Palahniuk. He's the same guy who wrote the original book Fight Club.
Hmm.
And Rant is deals with time travel, deals with going back in time and interacting with your father and your grandfather and making the past and making the future happen. And it's not nothing like dark at all, but it reminded me a lot, especially these scenes with Jonas talking to Michael. So there's my book recommendation. I used to recommend books every week on Sweet Child of Time, and I haven't done it for months and months. So there's our
Hmm.
book corner.
Okay. At the Nielsen house, Marta leads Jonas into a room. She gives him the St. Christopher's pendant that they found on the beach, and she put it on a red cord for him, the
So
red thread of
nice.
fate.
Yep.
Yes. She gives him that patron saint of travelers. In this bizarre scene of classic misdirection, Jonas and Marta are having two separate conversations. Because Marta's like, I was thinking about what you said before, and Jonas is like, about my grandmother and the tablet, which she thinks is really cute
It's
because he's like,
hilarious.
yeah,
But she thinks he's being, yeah, being like
yeah.
clever.
Because Jonas has no idea that his other self kissed Marta.
Hmm.
So he just remembers the low key flirty conversation they had instead of the passionate Jonas conversation about having more time and being a perfect match.
Hmm.
This Jonas before her has never kissed Marta or spoke those words. So Marta is in love with the more daring and bold Jonas that she met on the beach.
Oh, okay.
She takes charge and kisses him. She's going to make sure it happens again.
It's like a first kiss all over again. Like she has two first kisses with Jonas.
Hmm. Yeah. So
Oh,
back. Oh,
were
go
you
ahead.
were you done with that
I'm
paragraph?
done with that section unless you have other thoughts.
Yeah, the red string that she chooses to put on the St. Christopher Traveler thing is
Hmm.
really a neat tie-in to how the older Jonas uses that same red string to like guide him to the path that ultimately leads here.
Hmm. Yeah, that's and goes back to the whole Ariadne thing, right? Because they used the Minotaur's maze. They use the red thread to find the correct path out of the maze. And so it's like follow the signal, follow the path
Hmm.
before you. So Marta is helping Jonas carve out his path.
She's giving him the first red string to follow here. Yep.
Okay, so at the Conwald house, Jonas asks how Michael found the passage. Michael says that he was led there by someone, and that someone was Jonas. Michael shares that when they were all at the caves, there was a weird noise. The Sic Mundus tunnel door was opening, I put in parentheses. The
Right.
lights all flickered and everyone ran. Mikkel was with Jonas and then they got separated, but when he turned around again, Jonas was back, leading him a different way. Jonas led him to the cave and the tunnel, and Michael believed him because he trusted Jonas. They spent the night inside the cave, but in the morning, Jonas was gone.
Yeah, that's you could tell he was bummed about that too, Mickle. Like you were gone. Um That's neat the way they flash back to, like, the original night, and we get to see it all again, like, through different eyes, and then we see the new Jonas lurking behind a tree. New Jonas.
Hmm.
The what did you call him? The
Next Jonas.
next scar Jonas, like, hiding behind a tree too, just like his buddy Noah, hiding and watching and then, guiding things to happen, except he doesn't have any memory of that, is what he
Hmm.
tells Michael here.
Yeah,
So, obviously, that's something I guess he'll do later, maybe? I guess so.
it must be part of his future. Yeah. So Jonas has to come to the reality that he's the problem. He betrayed his own father. And for him, this is blowing his mind. He keeps saying, "This isn't possible. I never did that. I never led you back to the cave." And Michael also shares how he saw his younger self that day, and he contemplates that maybe Jonas is there to show him what to do, not to stop him.
Mhm.
And so Jonas has to understand that he played a part in betraying Mikkel. So maybe here's where you can talk about
Yeah,
what you wanted to
okay.
say before.
Well, first, that's a real neat turnaround that Michael did there that nobody expected that turn of conversation either, especially Jonas. But yeah, the causation loop, I think that's just really neat how you know, he came back to try to change the past, but in reality, it's like because he came back is why the past happened. And so he's there like making things happen for him, laying the breadcrumbs out from the future. And you've mentioned before that it's kind of like against time travel rules how they're doing so, but for me this makes perfect sense. This is kind of how I always envision time travel, like an older version of myself coming back and talking to like the present me. Um what time travel rules were you referring to there?
Me?
Mhm.
I
Like you
didn't refer I didn't refer to any rule. Oh, you're saying against all good time travel rules that
Mhm.
we're breaking them?
Right.
Um like you're not in most when most time travel shows, they're always like don't talk to yourself. Like don't
Oh, those type of
don't
rules.
yeah,
Okay.
don't talk to yourself and don't interfere.
Right. Okay.
And here, like Jonas did, Jonas did that. Michael also did that. Like,
Everybody
a
does.
smart time travel person would not go confront their younger self coming out of the bathroom. You would be like hiding until they left. So those are the kinds of rules I was talking about.
Okay, well, you make perfect sense right there then. Yep.
But yeah, this would be really hard for Jonas to just be like, you betrayed Mikkel. Like he's been like, I'm trying to save Mikkel. But nope. I mean, you didn't do it yet, but you're going to do it.
Michael kind of picks up the order of things pretty quickly too. Like he kind of picks up what would happen if he does and does not, do what
Mhm.
Jonas say he's going to do. A lot quicker than than I probably would have. I mean,
Mhm.
I know it's TV, but I still have to admire the character and the writing.
This is the kid that can solve a Rubik's cube in like 30 seconds. So
Right. Yep. Okay. Say no more.
he sees all of the possibilities and can line them up. So, like Stranger Jonas, Michael realizes that without the events of that night, his son who he loves will not be born. And he speculates that he is just a small part of a much larger cancer.
Mm,
Mikkel says God doesn't err, he has a plan. And then in walks old Claudia. Okay, before we talk about Claudia, let's talk about this paragraph. Um, Obviously, the cancer, we've talked about the festering wounds and the
yeah.
sickness, and Vern Doppler just hanging out with the sling on his arm for like no reason. Everybody's body is in decay.
Right. Right.
But I thought it was also interesting too that Michael says God doesn't err, he has a plan. when we met Mikkel, um, when he first comes to the 1980s, he talks to Noah, and his dad had told him he was an atheist and
Mhm.
that there is no God. And then little Mikkel talks to Noah about like how it's good to question people who question things.
Mhm.
And he really took those lessons to heart, and he was raised by Inez, who does believe that God has a plan.
Right.
As she talked to Jonas and said, who am I to interfere in God's plans? So we're seeing this, the worldview of Michael has really, really changed. And so now he's on the side of like, there's a plan and God doesn't make mistakes. And so I just think that's an interesting thing to, it's one sentence, but yet, wow, when you look at this journey of this person's life, that's not where they started.
Yeah, I thought that that him saying that was interesting and a little odd, but I didn't give it that further push that you just did. So yeah, I think that is really neat. That does show his journey.
Mhm. So even though no even though Noah's full of crap, he certainly made an impression on little Mickle, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But I do think it's still, despite all that, I know I sound like I'm being cynical. I mean, I believe in
Mm-mm.
God, and I believe in God having a
Mhm.
plan. So I do think it's beautiful that for Michael, him making this realization, and he knows I love my son, and I want him to be born. So this obviously needs to happen. Like he's ready to accept whatever needs to happen to save his son. And I think there's something beautiful about that, even though it might be kind of twisted.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate sacrifice, they say,
Hmm.
and um, I mean, it does tie in with religion and Christianity too. That he's sacrificing himself for his son.
Yeah. And as I'm still like I'm still thinking about this because also there was the scene where when Mikkel goes to the caves and he sees Noah and he's chewing on that apple,
Hmm.
and he says I don't what if God makes a mistake? He like asks Noah that there.
Sure.
And Noah talks about like, oh, you don't know where you are. Sometimes it feels like you're in the wrong place. And so yeah, it's
Right.
just, so he's had some time to think about a lot of things in his life. And so yeah. And it's like this is our scene. This is our episode with Michael. I mean, and he's making such a great impression as a character.
Yeah, he really is. Like I was saying many times how I couldn't wait to see Michael, and I had vague memories of this episode, but I don't remember Michael as being as like happy and joyful and as quick to come around to the plan as he was too. I mean, he was great. Um, I know we get a third character joining us here,
Yeah.
Claudia, and I'll let you go on because I kind of have a couple questions about her.
Yeah, me too. All right. So as you said, in walks old Claudia. Like maybe that wasn't exactly what anybody thought was going to happen here.
No,
Definitely was not expected. She tells him they've met before. Like she's been looking forward to the day that they've met before. Jonas asks if she's with Adam. So next car Jonas here doesn't know who Claudia is, even though we've already seen that they do. Um, Maybe I'm getting held of myself. Okay.
no, he's
Um,
listened to her tapes.
he's listened to her tapes. Okay, but she obviously knows who he is, and she's like, I've been looking forward to when we'll see each other again.
Hmm.
But this Jonas does not have any knowledge of that.
He doesn't even realize this is the Claudia that was on the tapes
Right,
at this
right.
point.
She talks about Adam being the darkness and that she doesn't follow him; she follows the light. And that is what Noah says as well, which is
Hmm.
obviously interesting. She tells Jonas that Adam lied. He sent Jonas there to make the very thing he wants to stop happen. She tells him that only he can stop it by waging war on himself. There are times in life when you must see that the decisions you make affect more than your own destiny, that they all must make sacrifices. And yeah, I was. One of the things that's interesting here is that Michael does almost seems to not see Claudia at all. Like Michael doesn't talk to Claudia at all.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have noticed that, I don't think, if you hadn't pointed that out to me. And after a second and a third watch, yeah, you're right. He's focusing on Jonas, and every time he looks at Claudia, he's only looking at Claudia because he's looking at where Jonas is looking. So it does kind of seem like he might not see her, but I don't know. I'm kind of an opinion that she is there, that she is actually
Mhm.
there, and they can both see her and hear her. I think it's interesting that she shows up, and I'm thinking like, I mean, I know everything is happening as it's supposed to happen, but what if Jonas hadn't time traveled? Like right now, would Claudia have like shown up and talked Michael into hanging himself somehow, or is maybe she there to like offer a third perspective, um to kind of, because it's pretty much at her insistence that pushes Jonas over the edge and enables him to
Mhm.
walk out.
Yeah,
I don't
she's
know. It's
almost
just
like I was like I'm going to make another religious metaphor here.
okay.
It's almost like Father, Son, and Holy Spirit here. Like Claudia's almost like the Holy Spirit role, the guide that comes in and shows you the right thing to do.
Hmm.
Who may not even be, and it seems like the person's not even in the room.
Right. That
Um,
would make perfect sense with what you're saying.
I just came up with that just now, so don't think I've thought this out. But I was like,
No, but it really
oh,
works,
there's like,
especially with the fact that Michael, we can't tell if Michael can see her or not. That makes total sense.
yeah. I mean, you're right. I do think it's not like she's invisible, but it is just interesting that he's not really interacting with her at all. Like he doesn't speak to her or say,
Never.
"Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" like a normal person would.
Yep.
Um, One of the things I didn't put in the recap is she mentions she's seen the world without him. Because Jonas is like, well, if I
Right.
if I don't
Right.
exist, then Adam won't exist. So isn't the answer for my father to live and me to die? So, this is obviously the answer is that for me to stop existing. And Claudia says, I have seen the world without you.
So she's seen multiple universes then somehow? I mean, I'd like to see what Claudia sees.
Show us what you see, Claudia.
Yeah, I heard her say that, but I didn't really didn't delve into that thought too much until you just brought it up. So that is a neat one.
Okay, at the Nielsen house, the storm continues to brew. Hannah sits outside on a swing set, smoking a cigarette. Ulrich joins her, and the two share a moment like they used to at the bus stop. And as we said before we started recording, Steve, it's
Hmm.
actually almost like it's a deja vu repeat of that scene at the bus stop in
Hmm.
dialogue and almost every aspect, except this time, um, you know, Hannah is the one that's at the swing set. Ulrich joins her as when they were younger.
Hmm.
Ulrich's at the bus stop and Hannah joins him. And also, of course, Hannah's wearing the red dress.
Oh yeah, we see that.
She passes him a cigarette and he checks before taking one because
Right.
I guess perhaps he promised
Hmm.
Katerina that he would stop smoking. I'm guessing that's what happened because he looks
Yeah,
behind him like, is anybody going to see?
I noticed that too. I think we're supposed to notice that.
He asks her if this is the apocalypse and what she would wish for if she could start anew. And she says, a world without Wendon.
Yep.
And
Which
I
is what
put
he
it,
told her, yeah.
yeah. So that she's been studying him her whole life for this moment so they can be in alignment. And their affair begins with a storm and a stolen kiss.
Okay, you mean like right now? Like, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Cool, yes.
The kiss happens. Well, it doesn't happen quite yet. They run. Um,
Okay.
they run and all that. But
I wasn't sure if you meant, like, if their affair started at the storm when they were at the bus stop when they were kids. So that's why I was questioning you, not I wasn't being
okay.
silly.
No, I mean, I just yeah, they were when they were kids, there was no kissing. Just now as adults.
Yep. This totally 100% reminded me of Heather because she loves to sit outside in this, like when it storms and watch the storm and sit like in our backyard stuff and smoke cigarettes. And so, like, I told Heather that. I was like, "This reminds me of you. This is like you." And Heather was like, "Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that too." So she knows thyself.
Mhm. So the rain begins to pour in earnest. Ulrich runs towards the shelter in the yard. And this is our I will say this is our musical interlude as well. The song is
Mhm.
Twisted Olive Branch by Asif Avedon. He pulls Hannah along with him and they kiss as Katerina in the house is holding Mikkel, the two women with each
Mhm.
other's husbands.
Interesting.
Yeah. Across town, Peter runs to Bernadette's trailer. He notices the parked tractor trailer nearby. Inside the shadows between the trucks is Franziska, following her father just as Magnus followed her.
Mhm.
And then Magnus is also looking at photos of Franziska on his phone. So there's lots of passion going on here
Oh,
in
yeah.
this scene.
Yep. Ulrich and Hannah, they're stepping in it now big time. And yeah, I guess this is what it's you're right. Yeah, it took a storm and they're away from everybody else. I don't know why they didn't run into the house. Instead, they ran to hide away from everybody. Um, Peter obviously lied to Charlotte because he was telling her when we first met Peter, it was November of 2019, and he was trying to say it's been a year, since the affair or whatever, trying to make us believe it'd been a year since he'd hooked up, but here he is with Bernadette, and it's just 4 months prior. So just
Hmm.
wanted to point that out. I like point out lies.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, I think yeah, I can't remember exactly what he said, um but yeah, I just thought this was before he made the promise.
No, he made a promise a year ago, and so this is this is 8 months into that year, and he's with Bernadette, and Francisca is out there looking. So there's like there a link to the drugs, like when Peter stops seeing Bernadette.
Mhm.
Francisca knows that Bernadette's being left hung out to dry, getting no hormones, so she picks up the slack there, unbeknownst to Peter, obviously.
Yeah. The Tiedemans enjoy some champagne.
This is
They're
so stiff, but I mean, they don't want to. They don't. Regina doesn't want to go hang out with the Nielsen. She hates them.
That's true. You're
Absolutely
like
hates
everybody's
them.
at the party except for them, right? Because
Right.
Regina knows like
And there's a
she's not
reason for it.
welcome.
And there's a
Yeah.
reason that Bartosh isn't there because he probably tried to do the same thing. Hey, the Nielsen's are having a party. And I bet you Regina was like, you ain't going hanging out with the Nielsen's. I don't want you going to their house.
Mhm.
You'll tie you to a tree. I don't,
Oh. Yeah, that's true. You have to wonder if perhaps this is just wild speculation, but I'm like, I wonder
okay.
if part of the reason Marta could never really get down with the Bartosh is because she senses this tension between their parents.
Yep. I mean, I totally believe so. That's what we speculated on that before. Like, what if they had hooked up, Marta and Bartosh? Be like a really uncomfortable wedding ceremony.
Yeah. So, Marta and Jonas have sex, and I said it was their wedding night because they're wearing the white clothes.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that there because I was afraid that you missed it before, and I was like, you forgot your great point because I didn't make that connection either. You're doing all these color analyses for us, and that's a great one. That could be like their wedding night. They are consummating their love here.
Hmm. And this could be like their one. We know they've had these dreams, but
Oh
is
yeah,
this like their one? Um, their one time to have real, sex in the real world. Who knows? Um, so more to come
sure,
in the
yeah,
future. At the same time, next Jonas embraces his father and follows Claudia outside, and he shares a last look with his father. So all of this love and romance and well, there's love, romance, but also betrayal because, Ulrich and Hannah are being unfaithful.
right.
And so into that, it's just like the song says. I don't know the lyrics, but the song title "Twisted Olive Branch." It just strikes me that this is, this is like the festering wound. Into this beautiful day
Hmm.
is inserted a lot of grief and loss and toxic energy here, betrayal. Peter and Bernadette, they may love each other, but he's cheating on his wife. So there's
Hmm.
nobody can fully enjoy the good things because everything's tainted and twisted.
Except for Marta and Jonas and White. That's right.
Yep, the purity. Their love is pure.
Yep.
So Michael writes the letter that he is fated to write.
Just
This
copy and paste.
makes my head hurts my head. This is like also Tannhaus writing the book that he doesn't remember
Right.
writing.
Yeah. That's
Hmm.
probably might be how Tannhaus wrote the book. Just copied it, just like Michael's doing here.
Type it, Calibri font. Okay, so as he writes the letter, Jonas follows old Claudia into the caves.
Right.
Michael is writing the letter, and he says, "We make a lie into our truth in order to survive." Adam looks at the St. Christopher pendant, perhaps remembering a night he kissed a girl in a white dress.
That's cute. I like that. And I like that thing. We make a lie into our truth in order to survive. That's great. I mean, it's poetic, and I
Hmm.
I look at like people like in squalor conditions that are like they have to lie to themselves and their children about their conditions in order to survive. Um, I mean, I think everybody does it to some degree. I know I sure do. I won't reveal how, but just think it's a really neat line. It's one that I'll keep with me.
Hmm. So then Adam looks up as a man and woman come into the room. They tell him he could have told Jonas what his true task was. Adam just says that the last cycle will begin soon. The woman calls the man Magnus and comments that all of them have sacrifices to make. So this sounds kind of like what Claudia said.
Right,
So
right.
this must be Magnus and Franziska as old lovers. And I'll just tell you, it is Magnus and Franziska. There's no speculation. This
Okay,
is Franziska.
cool.
And the two of them look at the unruly God particle.
It's up there going wild. Yeah, we knew it's Magnus because somebody says the word Magnus,
Yeah.
and then like my original notes when I wrote down, I was like, the woman has the same hair color as Francisca. Could it be her? And
Hmm.
then saw what you wrote in yours. I'm like, oh, okay. I, I guess I'm
Yeah.
right.
Well, yeah. And somebody said, like, you forgot when there's the lady talking to Magnus. I was like, no, it's there. It just didn't say Magnus and Francisca until the second time I mentioned them. So actually, I don't know. Maybe the comment was made before I revise the recap or something.
Mm.
But um, but yeah, that is the end of episode 6.
And it keeps us wondering now that we know that that's Magnus, and Magnus is standing there in 1921 hanging out with Adam and
Mm-hmm.
Francisca. It just opens up a whole new door of what's going to be happening next. I'm just giddy with excitement. I just love this one so much.
So now I'll ask you, Steve, is this the greatest hour of television ever made? And why do you think
Oh,
people like this episode so much?
okay. I've seen a lot of greatest hours of television, Lindsay. I gotta say, um, Breaking Bad definitely had a great few hours of television in there. Game of Thrones absolutely did. Westworld absolutely did. I would say this would be in the top 10 of the greatest hours of television. I couldn't say it's the greatest. Um, but I definitely like this this week. It is absolutely the greatest thing I've seen. I can say that
I'm
with
not
great
sure that
certainty.
praise is too high, Steve, but let's talk about it in context with the rest of the episodes. Why
Okay.
do you think so many people like this episode?
Oh, because of the same reason I did, watching two Jonases running around with the Jonas from the future, inadvertently making things happen that he doesn't think are going to happen. It's like we love those, or I love those moments in Back to the Future when you see like multiple versions of people. Um, I think it's kind of like what people have been waiting for. They've been waiting to see Michael, and they got a great version of Michael, and they've been waiting to see the day that he dies, and this is even greater than you thought, because I think that's what it is. I think it subverts expectations, because we were just expecting everybody to go to the party and Michael to be home and paint a sad picture and kill himself because he's sad, but that's not what happened. And it's just fascinating the way they twisted it, and it's almost like a red wedding kind of thing for Game of Thrones. How it is shocking, and I think
Hmm.
that's why the subverting of expectations. How about you? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that then? I'm going to throw it back to you then.
I mean, I think that part of it is that you get to see the kind of the happy times, and
Ah,
we haven't really, until you kind of see what you had, then it's hard to really get a hold of the loss until you see what it was that they had before.
okay.
And just seeing this innocent Jonas before everything went wrong in his eyes. Now obviously the twistedness of Wyndon has always been present, and it was just buried in the cycle. No kids have gone missing for 32 years. So it looks like everything's okay.
Okay, yeah.
But for Jonas, who was this is how we entered Wyndon, was through his eyes. He was our portal into the show. And so for him, this is like his happy, like the last happy day he ever had, probably. So there's just a poignancy about it. This is before Hannah and Ulrich slept together, and it's you have this hope. With you start the episode with hope, like let's see what Jonas is gonna do. Can he really change the past? And over the course of the episode, your hope slowly dies. But it's still, but like you said, it's not a despair. I think it's despair for Jonas. Like he's spiraling after this to get some ground on his feet, and also he doesn't know who to trust because he was told by Adam one thing, and now Claudia's like, well, he lied to you, so now can he believe Claudia? It's like for him, he's probably the one that's the most messed up. But for like his innocent self, he was with Marta tonight. But for Michael, it's not like what we expected. Like you said, it subverts our expectations. Michael didn't kill himself in despair. He killed himself in love to save
Right.
his son. So it's still sad, but it's not what we imagined. We thought he's tortured thoughts as an artist, and
Mhm.
his motive was pure. His motive was to help somebody. So it just, yeah.
Oh, hey, Lindsay, sometimes we do feedback on our podcast. We did a little time traveling this week too. People don't know that, but our future is affecting our past because people are hearing this now on like a Monday, but right now it's Thursday. Really weird. So we haven't gotten any listener feedback because it's too soon for it at this point. But, I loved school. I loved going to school, and I never minded pop quizzes. Thought they were always kinda cool. Um, I heard somebody say that you have a pop quiz for me this week. Is that right?
I do have a quiz, but do you want to do our characters first before we do the quiz?
I don't know. Um,
I kind of do, because I
okay.
have a rant. I have a pretty
Okay.
big rant, so I want to do the angry, grouchy Lindsay. Get that out of the way first, then we can have our fun
Okay.
time with the quiz.
Alright. Makes sense to me. Alright. I'm willing to change.
Okay, favorite character. Can I go ahead and go first this time, or do you want to go
Sure.
first?
Please.
Okay. Okay, favorite character is going to have to be Michael.
Yes. I
No,
said
I'm just
yes, not just because 'cause I'm excited, but
yeah.
because obviously I agree.
Yeah. Um, I will say if I had a second place, I would give it to Jonas because he had a super strong episode, but this is Michael's episode here.
Yes, it is.
He this is his one episode to really capture us with lines and things, and he just crushed it. His role was so good and convincing, and I just thought the acting was wonderful in his part. So big props to this actor.
Yeah, he reminds me of DJ Qualls, kind of, if you know who that guy is. He's an actor from, from some like the early 2000s movies. Looks a lot like Michael here. And I really liked how, Michael was just happy and his carefree nature. It was not at all what we were expecting of him. So, he was my favorite too by far. I was in the same boat that I really loved, the dual Jonases, and I like the way, um, that the actor played the 2 versions of himself. He did great, but I'm not sure if we're gonna see much of Michael anymore, so I wanted to give him the award,
Hmm.
this time around just in case we don't see him anymore.
Yeah. So for my least favorite character, the most annoying character of this episode is going to have to be Claudia.
Okay.
I think this will be a very controversial thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I want so and this is like a big like for the whole show. In fact, I have a problem with this because
Oh,
she's really she's really putting a lot of pressure on Jonas about like he has to make sacrifices, and it's not just about you, it's about everybody, and
mhm.
but yet she isn't willing to make sacrifices. She keeps talking about Regina will be saved.
Right.
Like, what if Jonas feels that exact same way about his father?
Sure.
So I thought that her whole speech sounds really great, but she has her own selfishness that I feel like she's not acknowledging here. And I've actually had people like, I mean, there's more of the show to come, but I think, I've heard people talk about this and that Claudia is so empathetic. And I'm like, well, what sacrifices are you making? I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, she's done stuff, but I thought that it was a little short sighted. I just didn't like how she was saying like, well, you have to make sacrifices. It's just quite a thing to put on a teenage boy.
Mhm.
And I feel like she's like thinking a lot about Regina now. This is the older Claudia, so maybe
Mhm.
she's grown and there's more on her mind. Maybe she is seeing a big picture.
Okay.
But from our perspective, I was like, how can you say that to him when you keep thinking about Regina will be saved? Would you be willing to make that same sacrifice that you're asking him to make?
Yeah, I get that. It is kinda questionable too, like, why she's even there and why she's even part of this. It seems a little strange that she's showing up now.
I think we're supposed to be suspicious of her, and
Okay.
there's that whole, like, misdirection, right, from, like, Stranger Jonas last episode too. It's like, first he said, Adam was the mastermind, and now it's Cloudy as the mastermind, and so they wanna keep us kinda
Oh,
guessing about who can we really trust.
we can
Um
see why he thinks she's the mastermind.
Mhm.
From his perspective, like, she has a lot to do with, like, his dad, committing suicide there for him. So
Yeah.
I guess with time, he kinda saw that as a mastermind ploy. Okay,
So
Claudia.
that's my rant.
Yeah. Okay. So my least favorite is a character we barely even saw this episode. So it's interesting that they're my least favorite, but I'm giving it up for Adam because he misled Jonas here. Like he had a lot to do with this path being laid. I'm not sure if it's good or bad. I don't know who to trust because everybody says they're on the light side, but he obviously misled him and um yeah, it looks like Magnus and Francisca were kind of questioning him too here at the end. I thought about maybe like Ulrich and Hannah starting the affair would be the worst, but I've already given them the worst plenty of times. So I think it's time for Adam to own up to his leadership position here and take some responsibility and take one for the team. Take a least favorite for the week.
I mean, that's completely fair. Even though, like you said, he's barely in this episode. We are mad at you, Adam. We are very mad at you for lying to Jonas.
Yes.
All right.
So was
Well,
so yeah, that was your evil rant. So now you can get into a happy rant and give
now I
me a
can do the
quiz.
quiz. Yes. Okay. Well, this quiz is a quote quiz. So
Oh, okay, I like this.
I'm going to say a quote, and you have to say um
Who
who
done it?
said that line in the show. Now, I've actually helped you a little bit because during this recap, I actually said some of these quotes. So we're sort of refreshed on some of this. Not
And
all of
plus
it.
I have the benefit too of having seen every episode like 3 times and have talked about it with you for hours and then I've listened to our conversation. So I think I'm feeling pretty confident on this one.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll see. I have 12 quotes here.
Oh boy, okay.
Okay, so here's the first one. We all face the same end, those who have long forgotten us. They do not judge us. In death, I am all alone, and my only judge is me.
Okay, I take it back. I don't know. This sounds like something Adam would say. So, yeah, I'm gonna guess Adam.
This is Marta. This is her
Oh,
doing the play.
oh, okay. Okay, that makes more sense now. Okay, you got me. First one out
Okay,
the bat. This is
all
gonna be a
right.
hard quiz.
Viewers, play along. See how you do compared to Steve, and you can let us know at sweetchildtime at gmail.com. Okay, so then every now and then it's good to question those who question things.
Things. Um, it sounds like a police thing.
Let me say it again. I figured this one would be very easy for you. But every now and then it's good to question those who question things.
It sounds like somebody's talking about Mickle here and how he's questioning things. So, I don't know,
The
Ulrich?
person is talking to Mickle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
Noah.
Noah. I
Yeah.
I realized it like a split second after you started saying the N.
I think that this one came up during the show too.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So far,
Okay,
so bad.
second or
Third
third one.
one. Yep.
We are all full of sin. No pure human being exists, but no matter what we do, we never fall any lower than into God's hands.
Adam again. I'm
It's
wrong.
Noah again.
It's Noah. You gave 2 Noahs in a row. Yes,
I
that's
did.
against all quiz rules. You can't do that.
I didn't say, I mean, in fact, I will tell you this. The person who has the most good quotes is Noah in the show. If I could, it would be all Noah quotes.
Okay.
He's extremely quotable.
I'll remember that. Next time I
Okay.
won't say Adam as a default. I'll say Noah.
Okay. Have you heard of Master Zhang's paradox? I dreamt I was a butterfly. Now I've woken up and I no longer know if I'm a person who dreamed he's a butterfly or if I'm a butterfly who's dreaming it's a person.
Yes. Thank you for refreshing my memory. Earlier this episode, it sounds like that's Inez talking to Mikkel.
You're right. It is
Yay.
Inez. Our thinking is shaped by dualism entrance, exit, black, white, good, evil. Everything appears as opposite pairs, but that's wrong.
Noah.
No. You have another guess?
Adam.
No. I feel like you're doing the Sunday school answer. Jesus, God.
'Cause they
This
usually
one
say all
is
the weighty stuff.
this is Tannhouse.
Say okay, say that one again, please.
Our thinking is shaped by dualism. Entrance, exit, black, white, good, evil. Everything appears as opposite pairs, but that's wrong. This is
Okay.
from their conversations with the stranger.
All right. Okay. Man, I was so full of false bravado when we started this quiz. I've only gotten one right so far. Okay. I'm still
Well, this
willing to
is
take
like me
punishment.
trying to do like German like punk songs. Okay. What we know is a drop, what we don't know an ocean. Who's the
Ah,
first person who said this?
Ike Larson. Burnt Doppler.
Yeah, it is burned.
Yep, I remember that scene.
Good job. I actually forgot that he was the first person that said that until I, saw the quotes because like, whoa, okay.
Oh yeah, it wasn't Ike Larson. It was her dad, whatever his name was. Mara
Who?
Franklin's dad.
No,
In
it's not from
1899.
1899.
Yeah, they said that a lot in 1899.
No, it's from Dark. That's not. It's
I
not
know, but
in.
absolutely 100% guarantee. It's like in the first episode they say that. That
In
heard Mara's
1899?
dad says, yeah, Mara's dad says that to her one time when he's acting all creepy.
I'm gonna have to look this up. I don't think
Okay.
so, but
Everybody's
okay.
agreeing with me right now, shaking their heads.
All right.
I'm sensing it out there.
This one, I'll give you a hint. It's the person was quoting a movie.
Okay.
When you grow up, your heart dies.
I know the movie, it was The Breakfast Club. Um, and the person who said it was Katarina as a teen.
No.
Okay, I'm wrong then. Who was it?
Ulrich.
Okay, as a
When he's
teen.
talking to Hannah about the movie, he talks to Hannah about the movie, and then
Yeah, when they're kids.
she's like, "Well, you could see it with me," and he's like, "Katarina."
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay. We live next door to people we know almost nothing about, and behind one of those doors is my son. It could be anyone's door. The man behind the cash register, someone we invited for cake on a Sunday who plays with our children. I don't want to look away anymore, and you shouldn't either. This city is sick. Wyndon is like a festering wound, and we're all part of it.
Yep, that was when Katarina went on her Rush Limbaugh talk radio rant.
Yep. All right. Why not Forest Road?
Oh, that's Egon. No, that was yeah, Egon asking Helge about Forest Road. That's right. Yep,
Mhm.
yep,
Mhm. Well, he wrote it in his journal. He
yep.
said it to, he said it to himself. Some things you just want to keep to yourself.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the context of this now. Um Oh, it was Magnus.
Mhm.
Yep, keeping his love life to himself.
Okay. Do you believe in ghosts? The adults in my life seem to be haunted by ghosts and demons.
The adults in my life seem to be wow, okay. Yeah, I don't remember this one either. I'm going to guess Francisca.
Okay, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
This person was reading a book that has the word ghosts in it.
Oh, okay. That'd be Regina then.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
I got it.
Time. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Time is always with you. Wherever you go, you carry it within you, and it carries you. It sees and hears everything that you do and say.
Um that does sound like an Adam thing or a tan house thing. Am I
It's
wrong?
Noah.
It's no. Dang it.
This is what he says to Helge, and then Helge says it to Claudia.
Okay, okay.
Okay, last one.
Oh,
They say it's a piece of God, but it's a piece of the devil.
that was Elizabeth doing her sign language. I remember that
Elizabeth.
well.
Yep.
Man, that was a tough one. That was great. I like that a lot. It inspired me. I want to go back and find some dark quotes and throw it right back at you and see how you can do it. And yeah, I guess we're at the tail end of our episode now. And hey, we're doing good on time. We're right at exactly at 2 hours this week. Um,
Amazing.
Amazing. I guess for my plugs, you can find my band Intro Void on Spotify and Apple Music and all those other places. But that's my plug for the week. How about you, Lindsay?
Well, I've got more Fantasia Fest reviews coming out this week. And next week, I'm going to be filming a discussion about Oppenheimer. So I did my review already and turned it into video, but I'm going to be doing a 3-person discussion where we talk about the movie as a group.
Sweet.
So look
Nice.
for
That's
that.
going to be a
That's it.
YouTube, right?
It is going to be no, it will be on the podcast, which
Okay.
you can now find on Overcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify at one of my stories. So all 3 platforms. I'm continuing my campaign to take over all the world. But I had somebody tell me they only listen to podcasts on Overcast. So I was like, all right, I'll go on Overcast.
Yep. You go where the people are. Right on. I guess we'll be continuing this next week with episode 7. Man, we're getting on the tail end of this season here. They only have 8 episodes this season. So we got
We're
2
almost
more.
done with season 2, and we are over halfway done with the show as
Right.
well, because there's 26 total episodes, and today was the 16th episode, so we're over halfway done.
That's that's neat. It's also a bummer because I want more episodes, you know?
You have, but there are other topics. What we know is a drop. What we podcast about is a drop. What we can podcast about is an ocean, Steve. There's oceans of topics we can talk about.
There's so many shows to recap and so many TV songs to do cover versions of. So I got plenty of stuff ahead of me.
Hmm.
Well, cool. We're going to call it an evening then. So, from us at Sweet Child of Time, we hope you always find water and shade out there. And, Lindsay, before I say goodbye to you, I hope that you always find water and shade this evening.
Steve, I hope you find water and shade and a nice plate of tiramisu.
Thank you, my favorite. Yum, yum. Bye.
Bye.